Yes, I'm still using the S24 Ultra, but I know that a lot of you are wondering if I'll ever switch back to this. A lot of people don't seem to think that I've really switched to the S24 Ultra, which is this phone that I'm holding here. All of this video, apart from the shots of the S24 Ultra and the iPhone, will be shot on this, including the audio. But anyway, people don't seem to think that I've done this for real, but I have. I've been using this for 2 months without the iPhone anywhere near me. In fact, the only time this has been near me is when I've been stood next to the drawer that it's been placed in. I get two approaches to this in the comments. Some people will say, they'll just ask the question, are you really using that S24 Ultra full-time, Mark? Really? And then some people are really cynical. They'll say, hang on a minute, isn't that the iPhone behind you? What's going on here? All I can say is that I have switched full time, and who cares? It's a smartphone, although clearly a lot of people care, which is why I'm making this video. And this video is intended as a bit of a catch up on how I've been getting on with the S24 Ultra. Have I missed the iPhone? And now that we've had WWDC and an introduction to Apple Intelligence and iOS 18 and some other very interesting things, am I tempted to go back to this? I'll answer that question later and cover the WWDC stuff later, but in the meantime, let me give you, well, firstly, a quick word from today's sponsor. And that sponsor is Banks, who have sent me these two lovely cases for the iPhone and the S24 Ultra. They're known as the Aurora Mirage cases, and they're inspired by the Northern Lights. That means they've got these deep shades of blue, these vibrant greens, and hints of radiant orange in the casing. Basically, like all of Banks' cases, they look fantastic. They're also built with durable 600D Kevlar fibre, which is tough and long-lasting, and they have enhanced lens protection with that raised lip, which ensures that your very expensive camera system doesn't get scratched and is safe from impacts. They're also sleek and very lightweight. All of Banks' cases are so light, so easy to hold, and the Aurora Mirage is no different. One of the best things is that they are MagSafe compatible for both the iPhone and the S24 Ultra, which means it supports magnetic wireless charging. They also sent me this fantastic ArmorGo power bank, which comes in both 5,000 and 10,000 mAh versions. And the design inspiration for these power banks is the Milky Way and the vast universe. Basically, once again, they look really nice, and they're crafted with resilient aramid fibre. They've got this ultra thin yet very powerful design. I've not seen a battery case that has either 5,000 or 10,000 mAh in there this slim. And if you're wondering, they still have efficient heat dissipation with fast charging and low temperature control. And they're up to 52% slimmer than previous versions, which means they slip into your pocket or bag perfectly. And that magnet is super strong. It's an instant connection, it is rock solid, and as soon as you get it connected, it starts charging your phone. They're really versatile as well, so you can charge wirelessly, as you can see here, but equally, you can connect a USB-C cable and charge via a wire if that's easier for you. Banks has once again smashed it out of the park with these accessories. To find out more, just click that link in the description. And now let's take to the streets of London to talk about the S24 Ultra and the iPhone. Okay, so the first question is, do I miss the iPhone? And in all honesty, yes, I do. You have to remember, I was an iPhone user for many, many years, over 10 years, I think. And there's a couple of things that I miss. The first thing is the ease with which I can use the iPhone with my Mac. That's the big thing that I miss every day. It sounds like such a daft thing to miss, but if you bear in mind that I'm a content creator, and quite often I'll film something on my phone and need to get that onto my laptop to edit it in Final Cut Pro, and vice versa. Sometimes there's something on my laptop, so I get a screen grab from a video that I want to put onto Instagram or something else, and it's easier to do that on the phone, so I need to get that file from my laptop onto the phone. That process needs to be super quick. And with AirDrop, it is. You literally just drop it onto your phone. Really simple. WWDC has complicated this further for me for reasons I'll explain in a moment. AirDrop is just something I miss every day. I know there are workarounds with this phone, with the S24 Ultra, but they're a faff. And they're workarounds, and I hate workarounds. The other thing I miss is iOS in general. I think just the way that you make your way around iOS, the animations, the fluidity of the system does feel more fluid and a bit more satisfying than Android. I know that won't go down well with Android users, Android fans, but I don't know, iOS still seems a little bit more polished. Whereas Android always feels like it's on the verge of crashing or doing something daft or just not taking you to the right place. Is that a bit harsh? Maybe. It just doesn't give me as much confidence as iOS. But that's it really. I haven't really suffered anymore apart from that. I've not even been bothered by the app side of things. In the past I've said that apps on iOS tend to be more polished than Android, and to a degree that is the case with certain apps. I've kind of forgotten about that, and the apps that I've been using, which is my regular stuff that I use for this business, they work just as well on Android, and they feel fine. Apple Music still works on Android, so I've still got my music library there, and because I live in the UK, I use WhatsApp, so the whole green blue bubble thing isn't a thing. So, do I miss the iPhone? Yeah, I miss it every day, but not enough to switch back, because switching phones in any way, shape or form is a real faff, and if you know me, you know I hate faff. There's not enough of the things that I miss about the iPhone to make me want to go through that faff yet. Right, so what do I love about the S24 Ultra? Well, the first thing is the display. No argument. In fact, if you want to argue about this, get involved in the comments because it's fantastic for engagement. I think the S24 Ultra has the best display on the market. The problem is that I've scratched mine. More specifically, this Ultra Human Ring has scratched this display. And it scratched it quite badly, and it was within 2 days of switching to this phone, which was really, really annoying. And that meant I decided to put a screen protector on it, which looks rubbish, feels horrible, and has got scratched itself. And it's kind of dampened the whole joy of this display, even though it still is the best display on the market. No arguments. One of my biggest concerns about going from the iPhone to this phone was that I relied so heavily on the iPhone for content creation, so most of the short form stuff that we put onto Instagram and TikTok, etc. was shot on the iPhone. Equally, I used the iPhone for quite a lot of B-roll, more than you think actually, on this channel. So some of the product shots and stuff where it was just easier to pick up the iPhone, I used it for that. The S24 Ultra is just as good, if not better. And the reason I think it's better is because I just personally prefer the imagery that comes out of this phone. It's a very subjective thing, but I love it. But in terms of what I love about this phone, I've purposely walked over to a much busier part of London, by the way, just to see if it, you know, how this mic deals with it basically. But apart from those two things, apart from the display, which I've scratched, and the camera system, there's not much else that I love in particular about this phone. You know, the design is fantastic, it looks great, it's very well built, it's very quick, but you expect that from smartphones these days. I've said this on a couple of my recent smartphone reviews, that we've reached a point where smartphones are pretty much universally great. And that means they need differentiating features to set them apart. The two things that the S24 Ultra has, one is the stylus, which I still don't, the S Pen, which I still don't use. I still cannot think of a reason to use that thing. And most of you have told me about a billion times what those reasons are. I'm sorry, I just don't get it. The second thing is AI, which is becoming less of a differentiator these days because everyone's doing AI, including Apple, which I'll get onto in a moment. But Galaxy AI, do I use it? No, not really. I think occasionally I use the photo stuff, you know, getting rid of reflections, getting rid of shadows. I used that this morning actually on a photo of a form that I was doing this morning. But apart from that, no. I mean, object erasing, I do that on photos occasionally. The whole circle to search thing is very cool, but you only find yourself showing people how it works. You never really use it. I sound a bit uninspired by this S24 Ultra, which must raise one very big question which you keep asking me and which we started this video with. Will I switch back to the iPhone? Inevitably, I'm going to switch back to the iPhone at some stage, and that's because I'm a tech reviewer, and primarily my audience is made up of people who love Apple stuff. If I never reviewed the iPhone again, I'd lose a big portion of my audience. I don't mind admitting that, and that is the reason that I will one day start using the iPhone again. The question is, when? And Apple has predictably put a huge spanner in the works, if you can call it that. So, as mentioned earlier, the way that my phone integrates with my Mac is really, really important, and I do miss the whole continuity thing with the iPhone and the Mac. In iOS 18 and macOS Sequoia, got it right, it just gets better. And that's because they've introduced something called iPhone mirroring, which is when you can literally bring up your iPhone on your Mac. So your iPhone appears on your Mac display as though it's in front of you, and the key thing is the iPhone itself remains locked while you're doing this, so you can be doing stuff on your iPhone, on your Mac, but people can't get into your iPhone. So it's typically Apple secure, which is what you expect from Apple, but equally it's the stuff that you can do with your iPhone on your Mac display that's so handy. And the key thing is you can drag content onto your iPhone from your Mac. Now, they didn't show the other way around. They didn't show dragging content from the iPhone onto the Mac, but fingers crossed that works. Even if it's just one way, which would be weird, but even if it's just one way, copying stuff from your Mac onto your iPhone, for someone like me, that's game changing. And that integration gets even deeper, so the notifications from your phone also appear in macOS now. So again, you don't have to pick up your iPhone to view your notifications, and if you click one of those notifications, it takes you into the app on your iPhone on your Mac. And then we have Apple Intelligence, and I'm not going to go into detail about it. Brilliant. I'm not going to go into detail about that on this video because there's so much stuff to talk about there, and hands up, I only saw the keynote yesterday, so it's still very fresh in my mind. But, well, two things. Firstly, they've nicked AI. Only Apple will do this. They've steamed in late to the party and claimed AI as their own. And Apple Intelligence isn't ChatGPT, even though ChatGPT is integrated now. Well, it will be integrated into Apple's ecosystem through. That's for another story. It's more this kind of highly personal intelligence system, which is safe, it's secure, it's fully integrated, it relies on privacy, it's got that privacy first thing. The key thing is, however, is that in theory, it should completely fix Siri. And again, we only saw these demos courtesy of Apple, but if the demos ring true, and if the real-world experience of this new version of Siri is what we saw this week, excuse the traffic, this isn't me fanboying, it genuinely looks like something which I want to try, and which consequently could take me back to the iPhone. Now, before you shout at me, I'm not going back to the iPhone today or tomorrow. The likelihood is I'll go back to the iPhone when the iPhone 16 comes out. Does that annoy you? I've been very honest with this because this is my job. I wasn't going to stick with this phone forever, and that's why I want to leave you with this thought, because I know that my switch to the S24 Ultra has, for want of a better phrase, inspired a few of you to potentially do the same thing. If you're thinking of doing it, but you're not sure, just do it. Because I think you'll be surprised by how easy it is to switch platforms, and equally, how easy it is to forget about the things that you think you rely on. So, over to you. Are you going to make the switch? Are you going to go from the iPhone to the S24 Ultra? Let me know down below. And equally, guys, this has been a very different video, mainly because I'm walking around London for reasons I won't bore you with. I hope you've enjoyed it regardless, and if you have enjoyed it, give it a cheeky thumbs up, that always helps. If you've got a few minutes spare, keep watching for a link to another video that I think you'll enjoy. Someone always drives past when you do this stuff.